Welcome to chapter 5 of the book of Job. Eliphaz continues to speak. Continuation of where we were at in the last chapter 4. It begins, I'll read a little in the Greek. Epikale they, itis si ipakusete, tina angelon agion opsi, kegar afrona anari orgi, peplanismenon they, thanati zelos. But call, if anyone will hearken to you. So basically we're going back to this man dealing with Job's infirmities and his attitude and so forth. And he said, call if anyone's going to listen to you, or if you shall see any holy angels. Now, this is very important because we're talking about the beginning of the Bible. This is the first book of the Bible. And so right now, and this would have been after, in Genesis, it would have been right after Noah and the flood, and when they came back and repopulated the earth. They lived a lot less time, a lot less years. It says that Job, as we figured out, lived around 200 years, which would put him around the time of Abraham or even earlier. So how he got into the Hebrew canon, we really don't know. But now, if Moses had access to the book of Job, many of the ideas in Job he would have related in the book of Genesis, I think. And one here now we first see, so if we consider the book of Job as the first book, not Genesis, it's hard to get away from that because Genesis goes back to Adam and Eve and then Noah, but then it jumps all the way to Abraham, which is a little bit later. So Job, the things in Job are amazing. There's nothing written at that time like Job that goes into all these entities and ideas and going through all this rhetoric that all these people go through in a relationship to God, understanding God at a very early time. And now here we see the first mention in the Bible, I believe, of angels. It doesn't mention angels in the book of Genesis until the 16th chapter, verse 7, where the angel appeared to Hagar in the wilderness, and then Genesis 19:1, where the angels appeared to Lot in Sodom and Gomorrah and brought him out. And he says the holy angels. This is the first word we have of holy. What is holy? So it was developed very early. Agion, holy angels, something set aside for God. And then he continues, for even anger does away a foolish one, and zeal puts to death one having wandered. Now, see here the thought here of anger and a foolish one, wandering, zeal. All these concepts are very early on. We see them way beyond all of the books of Moses. And anger does away a foolish one, hurts him, I suppose is what he's saying. And zeal puts to death one having wandered. It's not the wrong kind of zeal or jealousy. And I have seen foolish ones laying root. Sounds almost like Solomon, doesn't it, in the book of Proverbs, who we just finished. And I cursed their attractiveness immediately, the foolish ones. May their sons be at a distance from safety, soterias, deliverance, salvation in the King James, and be crushed at the doors of lesser men, and there shall not be one rescuing. Now, they see the bad behavior, he sees the bad behavior of man as bad, and that God will punish him, but he doesn't see that any deliverance of rescuing, there shall not be one rescuing. But we see Jesus Christ, who is a deliverer, the one who delivers us from our bad decisions and can bring us to be with him. I believe God wants all to be delivered. He doesn't want the death of a sinner. He wants the sinner to stop sinning, of course, and he will punish. And then in verse 5, it says, "For those things which they harvested, one hungering shall eat." And that's exactly what Solomon picked up on in Proverbs. "But they shall be carried to one's armed, and may their strength be siphoned off," and I guess taken over by marauders and so forth. And what happened to Job. So in a way, he's almost saying all these things happened to you, so, there's something wrong here. You may have done something we don't know. For toil cannot come forth from out of the earth, nor shall misery sprout up from out of mountains. They're nature. They grow on their own without any help. You don't have to fertilize them. Mountains move, avalanches, volcanoes, all sorts of things. But a man is born to toil, to work. And the young eagles to fly the high places. This is the way it is. We're born to work. In Genesis 3:17, it says, "And to Adam he said, because you hearken to the voice of your wife, accursed is the land among your works. In distresses you will eat it all the days of your life." So Genesis, and the man is born to toil after the sinning. Now, Job, I'm not sure if it mentions anything about Adam at the beginning. We'll find out as we go through the book. "But nevertheless, I shall beseech of the Lord." Now here we have Kyrio, the Lord, L-O-R-D, which would have been the tetragrammaton in the Hebrew, and he acknowledges Kyrios. And then he explains who he is, and he says, "And I shall call upon the Lord, the master of all." So God, as he sees, is the master. It's not an animal as other religions have, or an unknown God, but he's the master of all. Very early on, he saw this. He's the one doing great things and untraceable. Honorable things also, and extraordinary. So basically they're good. He's looking at God as somebody good, not revengeful, but although God can be, and which there is not a number of the things he's done. The one giving rain upon the earth, taking over nature, and sending water upon the place under heaven. He's the one appointing the humble unto the height, raising people up, changing situations in people's lives, and raising up the ones perishing. He's effacing the counsels of clever ones, that in no way should their hands perform true. All these things he sees God as in an early stage. A lot of people don't see God even at a late stage. We are 4,000 years later. Don't see God, don't want to know anything about God, but yet this man did, and he was from Edom, king of Edom. And then we have a quotation of 1 Corinthians 3:19, the one overtaking the wise one in the intellect. That's God, overtaking wise ones, and just because you think you're smart doesn't mean you know all the things of God. And in 1 Corinthians 3:19, where it came from, it says, "For the wisdom of this world," Paul says, "for the wisdom of this world is morality with God. For it has been written, the one grabbing the wise ones in their cleverness." So the wise ones in their, here it's intellect, and overtaking, and in the New Testament, grabbing. So a few different words, but basically the same idea. "And the counsel of the crafty ones he amazes. For by day darkness shall meet them, and at midday may they grope equally at night. Think you know everything, then God will change your situation from darkness, from light into darkness, and so forth. He is controlling you. He's controlling me. He's controlling everybody to a certain extent by putting these tests and situations in front of us in our lifetime. It's not haphazard. It's not just something that happened with the Big Bang. I mean, the Big Bang, scientists think, well, this is a Big Bang. It's some kind of a star. Well, where's the Big Bang in intellect, the man's intellect? How did it happen? Some kind of a Big Bang out of nothing. All of a sudden, man has this high intellect and knowledge and everything, can think, where no other being that we know of can do anything close. I'm getting on my pedestal here to start preaching. And continues, and may they perish in war, and may the powerless come forth from out of the hand of the mighty one. Be strong, and may there be hope to the poor, but may the mouth of the unjust be obstructed. All the teachings that Christ brings along in the New Testament as he arrives on earth. And blessed be a man whom the Lord reproved. And this is a reproving, as what Solomon brought out in Psalms, Proverbs, we saw so much. And does not refuse the admonition of the Almighty, listens to the reproof of the Lord, maybe through other people. For he causes one to ache. Here's the key. God, it causes one to ache. And again, he restores. We have sicknesses and problems and broken bones. All sorts of bad things happen to us. He allows them. He says causes him. He does it. PAO 4160 can be translated many different ways. I use causes here, but he does. He allows ones to ache, could be. And again, he restores. He's the one that is in charge. We need to bow our knees to God, the Father, who we know is the Father, and because of Jesus the Son. He smites, and his hands heal. 6 times he rescues from out of your distresses. I took the you out, doesn't need to be there. 6 times he rescues you from out of your distresses. And in the 7th time, in no way will he touch you for bad. Sort of like Solomon with the 3, there were 3 things, and then the 4th was this. Here we've got the 6th and the 7th. In famine, he will rescue you from out of death. And he will untie, and in war, he will untie you from out of the hand of iron, being captive. Basically, God is in charge of all the things. They see this early on, at least Eliphaz does. And he shall hide you from the whip of the tongue, and in no way shall you be fearful from the coming evils. What a wonderful thing that a man sees this so early on, Eliphaz. Now, I think, like I mentioned, God said that they said a lot of things that were wrong basically about Job, but it doesn't mean everything they have to say is wrong. So that's a real key here. I believe all these things the Eliphaz says are true, but he just doesn't see what the devil and Satan and these sons of God all did up in heaven. The unjust and lawless you shall ridicule, and from wild beasts in no way shall you be fearful. God brings us this peace and strength. For the beasts of the wild shall make peace with you. They're not going to overcome. Then you shall know that your house shall be at peace. If you're with God, your house will be at peace. Walking with God is the way to go. Telling everybody else, walk with God. Everybody's walking away now in the Great Defection. Bad things happening in the world. War, Russia and Ukraine. This is August the 4th. And China sending rockets towards Taiwan and even into Japanese waters. Bad things threatening the United States. And he shall visit your beauty and in no way should it have sinned. And there you got a portent of Jesus Christ. He is going to episcopy, oversee your beauty, or come and see it, and in no way should it have sinned, as we are given the forgiveness of sins by Jesus. And you shall know that your seed shall be many, the believers, I believe, and your progeny will be as the abundant herbage of the field. But you shall come unto the grave as grain in season, get old, and right when God has the time for us to be die, according to the time of harvesting. It's sort of like this is the ripe for harvest. Jesus talks about the harvesting and then separating the good from the bad. It doesn't say that here, but are as a heap of the threshing floor, according to the hour of its being collected. This is our end, all in God's plan and way. Behold, these things thus we tracked out. These things are what we have heard. But you, Job, knowing yourself if you acted in anything. So now he's turning it over to Job. We've seen all these things. This is now your turn. And we'll find out what Job has to say in response to Eliphaz in chapter 6. Hope you'll join us in the next video seminar. Till then, God bless.